Yesterday on First Take, you called for Kathy Engelbert's resignation from her role as WNBA commissioner. When you hear Caitlin Clark there, how does that strike you?
Doesn't strike me at all. Same reaction. Kathy Engelbert should resign as the commissioner of the WNBA. And the reason...
Ladies and gentlemen, please halt all of your activities. Switch off the television. This is the most self-destructive, petty, and, to be honest, suicidal business choice in professional sports history. Put down your phone and pay close attention to what I have to say. With the Olympic snub, we believed the WNBA had reached its lowest point. We believed they had reached their lowest point in the Rookie of the Year vote, but today they picked up a shovel and began burying their own league. Several insiders have shockingly confirmed to us that Caitlin Clark has gotten a formal warning from the WNBA league office, which is headed by Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. And why is this warning being issued? Did she violate any laws? Was she a drug test failure?
No.
She signed a landmark broadcasting contract with NBC Universal, so they cautioned her. They threatened to sue her, saying that her relationship with NBC created a conflict of interest.
Take a moment to process that.
The woman who prevented your league from going bankrupt on her own. You respond by threatening the lady who gave you the billion-dollar TV deal and the private aircraft when she gets hired to promote basketball on national television. It's completely insane. You are declaring war on your own product. Even the most prominent figures in sports media, such as Stephen A. Smith, are taking a close look at this situation and calling for heads to roll, as we will hear shortly. This is not only an error, it's sabotage. And the WNBA is going to get a very hard lesson about who is actually in charge of this relationship if they believe they can intimidate Caitlin Clark into compliance.
Derogatory and unappreciative of the athletes that represent our league. And then the person I call the golden goose of the WNBA, Caitlin Clark. You understand, who is box office for the WNBA. Just look at the numbers, look at the ratings, look at everything. For her to come out and say...
When Stephen A. Smith removes his spectacles and stares into the camera, you know something is wrong. And that's precisely what took place. Stephen A. did more than simply attack the WNBA when this news emerged. He made a resignation demand. "This is egregious," he replied, glancing at the camera. "This is full of jealousy and is blasphemous." Smith, Stephen A., is correct. He made the obvious clear. Kathy Engelbert's behavior is not representative of a commissioner. Her behavior is akin to that of a hall monitor. "How dare you," he said. "That you would jeopardize the golden goose? Sending her flowers is something you ought to do. Her shoes need to be polished. You're mailing her cease and desist letters instead." Stephen A. went one step farther. He exposed the conflict of interest justification as a fabrication. "It helps the WNBA to promote the NBA," he yelled. "Basketball is basketball. Free marketing is when Caitlin Clark is on my TV screen discussing the game on Sunday Night Football or in the Olympics while sporting a WNBA hoodie. You can't purchase that kind of publicity." He is entirely right. The dumbest thing I've ever heard is the claim that Caitlin Clark's employment with NBC harms the WNBA. It would be like claiming that the Chicago Bulls suffered because Michael Jordan filmed Space Jam. It's absurd. Stephen A. Smith made a demand at the end of his tirade that all fans should follow. Kathy Engelbert must step down with immediate effect. He declared, "You are unfit to govern if you fail to see Caitlin Clark's worth and are so consumed by internal politics and trivial regulations that you attempt to undermine her." And I concur with him. This warning demonstrates how dysfunctional the WNBA's leadership is. They are deliberately opposing their own achievements. They detest not being able to manage her. It was best expressed by Stephen A. She despises her accomplishments. The fact that Caitlin is larger than the league bothers the commissioner. And all they created will be destroyed by that hatred. This is where the WNBA's bluster becomes very offensive. So let's put aside the emotion for a moment and examine the objective data. Are you aware of Caitlin Clark's salary from the WNBA? Are you aware of her base pay? $76,000. That isn't a pay in the world of professional sports.
It's a tip.
The Denver Nuggets mascot earns $600,000 annually. 10 times as much money is made by the man in the furry suit shooting t-shirt cannons as the face of women's basketball. Nevertheless, the WNBA believes they own her even though they are paying her a pittance. They believe they are entitled to inform her that she is not eligible to sign a multi-million-dollar contract with NBC. Delusional entitlement is what it is. What if your minimum wage supervisor sought to fire you for taking a second job that earned $10 million annually after you had already been paid the minimum wage? You would make fun of them. You would immediately quit. Caitlin Clark is in that situation. The arrangement with NBC is not a side project. The major event is the NBC contract. She makes more money on a single weekend than she would in 4 years with the WNBA. The WNBA is attempting to impose a non-compete agreement on a worker they hardly compensate by issuing this notice. It's offensive. It is deteriorating. It also demonstrates that the WNBA still sees itself as a pastime rather than a company. They must give Caitlin Clark exclusive money if they wish to maintain her exclusivity. Maybe you could advise her what to do if you put $50 million on the table. However, for $76K, you sit down, stop talking, and express gratitude for your participation. At this point, we must ask why. Why would Kathy Angelberg act in such a foolish manner? She used to be the CEO. She is a businesswoman. So, why send out a warning that would undoubtedly backfire? Although the answer is unappealing, we must discuss it. The locker room is the solution. It was not a boardroom that issued this warning. The old guard veterans' pressure was the cause. For months, we have been covering this. In the WNBA, jealousy is evident. Veterans who have been working hard for 10 years, sharing hotels, playing in Russia, and flying commercial, look up to witness a 22-year-old rookie flying private, landing 8-figure agreements, and receiving royal treatment from NBC. They're furious. They are enraged. They are also in the ear of the commissioner.
What I said was that weak-ass response that Kathy Engelberg, I'm going to say it again because people thought I stuttered just that. I don't know how because I don't stutter. Weak-ass comment. I'm going to say it one more time. Weak-ass comeback. That's what she did.
They claim that it is unfair. Why is she allowed to disobey the rules? While we must practice, why does she get to be a broadcaster? They want her to be humbled by the league. They want Caitlin to be reminded by the league that she is still a rookie. Additionally, Kathy Angelberg gave into the crowd rather than acting as a leader. In an attempt to placate the envious veterans, she gave this caution. She's attempting to show the changing area. You see, I'm also hard on her.
She isn't unique.
Here's a reality check, though. She is unique. The only reason anyone is watching is because of her. The commissioner's actions are poisoning the well by listening to the envious veterans. To cheer up the benchwarmers, you don't discipline your best player. That mindset is one of a loser. Stephen A. Smith also mentioned this. These veterans ought to look in the mirror, he added. You should be wondering how to acquire an NBC deal rather than criticizing her one. You should applaud her for raising the pay cap rather than trying to bring her down to your level, but they are unable to do that. The jealousy is too intense. And the result of such envy is this official warning. It's hazing that has been institutionalized. Let's discuss this threat's legal reality. Comcast is the owner of NBC Universal. It is among the world's biggest media conglomerates. Their attorneys charge more per hour than the WNBA's total compensation cap. Do you genuinely believe that the WNBA can prevail in a court case against NBC? It's a gecko versus Godzilla. Comcast will take the WNBA to court if they truly attempt to execute this warning, fine Caitlin, suspend her, or prevent her from appearing on NBC. The mission is suicide. The WNBA is powerless. It's unlikely that Caitlin's WNBA contract forbids her from working outside the league, particularly if that work involves broadcasting, which is technically media rather than basketball competition. At best, the conflict of interest argument is weak. The NBA is broadcast on NBC. The NBA and the WNBA are partners. Where is the conflict? Not at all. It is a made-up justification for controlling. Let's also examine the sponsors. Wilson, Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm. Caitlin Clark has received millions of dollars from all of these large corporations. They're not WNBA, they're Caitlin. Fix this or we pull the money, is what those sponsors will say to Kathy Angelbert if the league declares war on her and attempts to suspend her. Unaware that the hand that feeds them belongs to a behemoth that has the power to smash them, the WNBA is biting the hand that feeds them. You are covered in gasoline, and you are playing with fire, Stephen A. Smith cautioned them. What comes next, then? The end game is this. The WNBA has established a boundary. Caitlin Clark has received a warning. Caitlin must now answer. Furthermore, Caitlin Clark is not going to back down if I know anything about her or the competitor she is. NBC is going to feature her. That microphone will be in her hand. In her interview with LeBron James, she will challenge the WNBA to take action while staring straight into the camera. Their bluff is being called by her. The WNBA will have two options when she does. Either they give up and appear weak, or they suspend her and ruin their league. They have placed themselves in a precarious position. The supporters will rebel if they suspend her. I am referring to a complete boycott. We must cancel her league pass if they touch her head over this. We must cease purchasing tickets. The accounts need to be unfollowed. We must demonstrate that the talent, not the management, is the reason we are here. Although Stephen A. Smith called for his resignation, the supporters must call for a revolution. Because of their own insecurity, we cannot allow these bureaucrats to ruin the heyday of women's basketball. Caitlin Clark is the most powerful person.
She's free to go.
She is able to travel to Europe. She is able to join the league that is unmatched. She can become a full-time broadcaster after retiring. The WNBA is not necessary for her. She is as essential to the WNBA as oxygen is to a guy who is drowning. The last straw is this warning. It is the evidence we required that the WNBA's existing leadership is incapable of running the organization. The greatest gift in the sport's history has been viewed as a burden by them. A savior has been seized and treated like a suspect. Hear this, Kathy Angelbert, if you're listening. Resign.
Get down.
Let someone take charge who is knowledgeable about media, business, and celebrity power. Because you will be known as the commissioner who murdered the WNBA if you keep going in this direction and let envy and pettiness influence your choices. Caitlin Clark will be alright. NBC will be alright. However, the commissioner is currently standing on an oxygen tube, and the WNBA is on life support. Although a warning has been issued, the league is the one who should heed it. The Caitlin Clark train is moving and won't stop for anyone, especially not for a league that pays her less than a mascot, so move out of the way or risk being run over. The entire globe is observing. The clock is ticking, and Stephen A. is observing. If you're enjoying this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications for the latest news of the WNBA. Thanks for watching.